The views expressed here are those of the authors and do not in any way represent the views of SafeerTV.
Assalamu alaikum, hello and welcome to another episode of Ladies First. I'm joined here by my wonderful panellists Francesca, Tamara and Sayyidah Sabah. Hi ladies.
Hello.
So what I want to get into is recently in the news there has been outrage when the lion Cecil was killed in a horrific way by an American dentist. He was hunting in Africa. Now, this has brought about large-scale demonstrations in America, and organizations such as PETA and animal rights organizations saying that this has been a despicable act. Personally, ladies, how do you feel about the incident? Was there too much coverage of it? Are there more important things to talk about? And maybe you could give me some insight as to why this was such a big deal.
It was horrific. First time I heard about it, when I read about it in the news, it's just disgusting. It's something is outrageous. But then again, like you said, and writing about it, making laws about it, protesting about it, and then somehow you feel that it gone a bit overboard. Not because I'm against. It's good that people act and protest against animal cruelty. We have to. We should do that. It's a good thing to do. But you start wondering, is it a bit? Does the world care more about animals than they care about human beings? We have so much suffering. All this, like the refugee problems, and all those people are dying. Palestine is one thing, and then you've got all those people dying in boats, trying to cross over to Europe.
Within the same week, 100, 200 migrants died in
a boat.
No one cared.
No one went out protesting about it.
Well, maybe
we didn't do anything. No new laws have been legislated
so
again.
Are we being hypocrites? Because this lion was given a name, like a lot of the time in human culture, we have pets and we give them a name. It makes them almost feel a bit more part of the family, a bit more human.
The reason he was given a name was because one of the universities in the UK were following his progress.
Right.
That's why he was called Cecil the lion. So he was this big lion. They'd been following him for X amount of years, and then some dentist decided, right, yep, I'm going to shoot him, and then he shot the lion.
And I think he was targeted, wasn't he? Because he was
very
well
big
known,
lion,
and a lot of money was given. But
it was horrible and outrageous, regardless whether the lion was given a name or not. I mean, because those people, they weren't hunting for fun's sake. They wanted.
He was actually paid to kill the lion.
No, he had paid others.
He had paid
a lot of money to go out and hunt.
He was a hunter.
That is horrendous.
Yeah, just simply to take photos with it.
That's horrendous.
It's just horrendous, taking some other creature's
But this happens all the time in Africa. People go on safaris and
hunting for fun.
Yes, I think what caused outrage was he was in an enclosure, and they coaxed him out of the enclosure in order for him to be killed, and it was very gruesome. It took 2 days.
You're actually right about this, that this has happened. I've seen it as well before, but then why did we react towards Cecil the lion more than we reacted towards all those giraffes that they've been slaughtered? And I've seen those images of women, posing next to a big, innocent, cute-looking giraffe, on the ground, dying on the ground. And no one reacted towards... Well, not as big of a reaction.
Course, but I think also because what happened in the news in the same week was the migrants crossing the sea, escaping all sorts of things going on in their own country. I think there was 100 or 200, I can't remember exactly, but 100, 200 migrants died in the same week, and no one batted an eyelid. And I think it's just this attitude that we have this we get caught up in this idea that yes, we've got to stand up for something, and yes, it's going to be this lion, but then all these other people, and these weren't just one set of people. These are people from different countries. There were children, there were women. We've got our priorities completely
exactly.
wrong.
And you know what? No one disagrees about that killing an animal is a horrible thing to do.
Course.
But people have been discussing the migrant issue. Like, look, we even call it a migrant problem. It's a problem. So people are looking at it as a problem.
It's the attitude.
And it's the attitude, and we call it migrants. Most of them are actually refugees. They're not necessarily migrants. When you say migrants, you think of it as an economical problem. People are coming here because
by choice as
because by choice,
It's
because
not
they want to have a
necessarily
better
by
life, not
choice.
economically better life. But refugees completely different. They come from war-torn countries. Their lives are in danger.
It's a different ball game altogether.
It's a completely different. Yeah, exactly.
Well, maybe.
So when we look at it, you look at it differently. Well, this one is easy to protest against because everyone agrees.
And it's a
about
cause,
it.
isn't
It's
it?
Yeah, exactly. While
It's
talking
animals
about
and-
migrants and refugees, that's political. So let's just leave that aside and not discuss it.
Well, I'd like to just say, during the same time, because this was an American dentist, the coverage was he was getting death threats. They were calling for him to be, taken back to Zimbabwe and prosecuted, etc. And what was interesting, during the same time in America, you had some unrest because there has been incidences of black people being arrested. I think 2 incidents of females, one who actually died in suspicious circumstances.
Absolutely, yes.
This is the same time as the Lion.
Nowadays.
There was hardly any protests.
No.
I mean,
Again, like Tamara said, it's political.
It is
You know,
political.
it's
No
all
one wants
political.
to-
These
yeah.
things are going to be shoved under the carpet
but
because
this,
obviously
and
it's highlighted.
what was more shocking was that it was
exploits them.
a female who was taken into custody, I think because she didn't indicate when she was transferring
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
died.
Minor traffic.
And then nobody was like outraged about, okay, where's the trust fund for her family? There's now, donations for, the researcher, I think, who was doing the cubs. There was a
There's
discussion that
donations
one of the cubs
to
is
the
going
cubs.
to, the cubs might die because the dad's not around. And I'm just thinking, does this kind of coverage make us feel better? Like there were so many celebrities coming out. One was nearly in tears, talking about the Lion, and I was just thinking to myself,
It's just
really?
creating hype.
Yeah.
It's diversion. It's
I
it's
think it's just a
taken
reflection
away.
of the complete disconnect that we have.
It's
It's what we associate as being worthy and what is not. I'm sorry, but
Yeah,
a
absolutely.
human life is worth, 100 times more over a lion. I'm sure the lion was great, but I mean, come on.
to his family and friends. He was a lovely lion.
Yeah. It's a safe
understand what I
activism.
mean?
Yeah, no,
basically.
absolutely.
It's you want to stay on the safe side.
That's what I'm
Safe
saying.
activism.
Yeah,
Definitely.
How can you say and justify that this, this response to this lion being
Well,
killed
I think it was-
when there are bigger,
Yeah, because
much
it's
bigger
less
major issues in the world.
complicated. You don't have to
Absolutely.
sit down and discuss things like racism,
and
or gun,
discrimination and prejudices and things like that.
or
And
even
maybe-
gun control in America.
Yes,
Or
and maybe
People
also
are
it
just
makes
scared.
people feel more civilized because they have a cause. They're relating to, animals can't talk, animals have feelings, obviously, and
So we have to
Islamically-
talk for them.
We have
fair,
to.
which
Yeah,
is
we
what,
have
which
to
our
express.
duty
Islamically,
as
we're
well.
meant to
Islamically,
be-
we're supposed to.
I understand it, but
Oh, no
I
doubt,
think
yeah.
also people are very people are frightened of other cultures and races that are angry, because I think what happens is people don't know how to deal with discrimination and racism and things like that. So people just turn a blind eye.
You just want to be
Yeah.
politically
Yeah.
correct all the
You
time,
do.
basically.
And it's uncomfortable, but I think until
Yeah.
you work through that uncomfortable feeling, we are never
Definitely.
going to
We
progress.
see
Yes,
it a lot
ever.
within
absolutely.
celebrities as well. They try
Absolutely.
if they when they're activists, they try and do it on the safe side.
Yeah.
They don't go political.
No.
So they try like.
Well, obviously, there's a lot more at stake. I mean, immediately, if you speak up against something like that, your reputation's at risk.
Yeah.
The media has a very clever way of ruining people's reputation. The moment you speak up against
Yeah,
whatever the agenda
or
is.
something that she said something on Twitter about Palestine when when the
Yes,
war was
yes.
happening against Gaza.
Yeah.
And then she said something, and then she had to apologise. And I think
No,
she-
that
Yeah.
was the
Was
guy
it?
from the One Direction, Zayn Malik.
That probably
Oh,
true.
yeah, yeah,
Yes, and
Several.
he had removed the tweet immediately. But what was also strange about this is this lion, as you said, has brought up so much politics, because the president of Zimbabwe was saying, well, this is an act of imperialism. Some guy pays to come into another country and takes absolute liberties, and look what happens, and this is an example.
Was it in his country then?
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
in
well,
Zimbabwe. He
take
went
control over
over.
your own country
But the
then.
people in Zimbabwe, I mean, I have some colleagues, they were shocked with the amount of media this got, because they said life is so difficult for people in
People
Zimbabwe.
are starving.
The electricity, medical care, and you know, people are upset over an
lion.
animal who probably live better than a lot of the people who actually lived in the country. You know.
Well, let's face it. The animal was in a reserve.
Was
it
fed.
It was fed. It was
Looked
to an
after.
extent.
Had
It was
shelter.
protected
Shelter.
until unfortunately the dentist, whatever. But I think. I just think I'm sorry, but I think it's shameful.
Yeah. As I
It is
said,
a really
it's
sad
a good
state
thing.
of affairs.
It's good to
Yeah,
protest
no doubt.
against it.
It is.
It's our duty to protect animals from the cruelty.
No
At the
doubt.
same time, not to forget, you know, there are also very, very important
One
issues
line
out
versus
there.
hundreds of those children and people that are living in such bad
Interesting.
conditions. and
Okay,
stuff.
so where is the Muslim presence in all of this? When we're talking about the migrants and we're talking about politically sensitive issues, why aren't we protesting with these?
Can we really? Can we?
absolutely.
Well, we
I
can.
mean, I
If it's
feel afraid. You know, honestly, you cannot really say much as a Muslim because you'll be labelled. Because not only we are already being under the magnifying
I understand
glass.
But
that
these
you
are the
can feel
consequences when you're on the
intimidated.
path of haq, really, if you think about it. If you're on the path of right, you know, on the right path and you're speaking up against these things, you're going to have to face the consequences as a result. This will happen.
But let's
And
look
it's
at
happening
what
more so with
happened.
Muslims
We
these
are
days than any other time.
scrutinised as
It
a
will
Muslim
happen.
Community. I mean,
Yeah,
we're
it will
trying to
happen.
be an activist that they say, you know, while also being judged as, you know, we're always being studied. Like we received letters with the kids from schools, from the head teachers, warning the parents to look after, what was it now? To look for signs in case their children would be joining ISIS or whatever.
Right.
So you're always you get
It's
me?
like you're being micromanaged almost, you know.
Exactly. So you know, try and be activists at the same time, whether it's
Well,
for
hold on,
animals
when
or
we
whatever
have-
it is.
When we
it's
have
just
an issue,
adds to it.
when we have an issue, we expect everybody to drop everything and
True.
come and support us. Look
Absolutely.
at recently the Palestinian issue when I think they were in the school, UN was protecting them and they got bombed. And we were outraged, why aren't people supporting us? And when you went on the demonstrations, you had Christian people there, you had nuns, you had Jewish people saying this was wrong. But whenever there's something that, you know, may need our attention, where is our Muslim presence? Like even with us looking, you know, on the news, you're looking for people, you have like Christian people demonstrating, and I'm like, where is the Muslim presence?
What do you mean by where is the Muslim presence? So what are they supposed to do?
Well,
I'm sure there are
anything-
Muslims out there also.
Yeah, that are fighting.
protesting
They are
and-
people
No, I mean,
that
It's
I
not
just
like
mean like
protesting,
any
like-
time.
You're not
I
going to
think-
go there holding a sign, I'm a Muslim.
Well, I'm definitely
I am
not going to
protesting.
go anywhere.
I mean, it's just like Sayyid Ali Abbas Razvi. I mean, what he's doing at the moment, you know, he's got Jewish community involved, he's got the Christian community involved, he's got people from different religious backgrounds together, and they're fighting a common cause, which is peace. You know, we're fighting for peace here, which I think is an absolutely amazing thing to do. You know, you're getting everyone from different religious backgrounds, and you're coming together with a common cause. I think that is a very, very good way of counteracting or dealing with such
But how
such
often
issues
do
and
we do this
situations.
was the question, and for what cause?
I think it's people are beginning to initiate these things now, like the likes of.
I think people are getting better at it, but I think
Definitely.
what happens is we sometimes, and we are guilty of doing it too, we get so wrapped up in them versus us. So for example, the thing that's going on in America, okay, well that's happening to this community, and right now what's happening to Muslims is this. So let's keep
But it could
two
happen
separate.
to
No, but
us.
this is what I'm saying. We get so wrapped up in what's going on for us, when really what we need to be doing, you know, is we need to be saying, hang on a minute, oppression is oppression,
At the end of the
regardless
day, yeah.
of
Where
race,
You
it
could
is.
colour, religion.
write, you know, do a little tweet, do a little blog.
But
You don't physically have to be
that's
I
there.
the
think that
simplest.
we
People do
are.
that, yeah.
But I think that we are, and I think what happens is people. It's so quick to say that, hang on a minute, what are the Muslims doing? Hang on a minute, why aren't the Muslims? Hang on a minute, the Muslims are doing this. But there are
But
so
definitely.
many people that are coming out.
People are
and saying,
struggling. There is that
"We
jihad
are
almost going
trying."
on.
Absolutely, we're
There is.
trying.
It's just
Undercover
I think
or
because
out in
you
the open,
physically
it's
don't
happening.
see it,
That's
you're
it.
thinking, where are we?
Well, again, media doesn't highlight
That's what
these
I'm saying.
things.
Yeah.
It highlights all the negative aspects of the
Exactly.
Islamic
And
or the Muslims.
there's no such thing as one Muslim community. You know, if you're going to organise something, it's going to be whatever. This mosque is going to organise an activity, or that mosque is going to organise, and that is not big enough for it to
I mean,
be
the
in
sad
media
thing
or
is
to
what's
be
being
covered.
highlighted is the differences amongst the Muslim ummah, as in the Shias against the Sunnis. that is constantly being highlighted in the news. You know, this Shias against Sunnis against whatever. That's all the negative side of things are being highlighted, but there are people that are fighting.
And you know, with the, one of the shootings that happened, I don't know if it was France, I can't remember, but there was a group of young youths led by, I think it was an Arabic Muslim lady, and what they did is they got as many different faiths together and they stood around a mosque holding hands.
Yeah.
Okay, and they did a demonstration, and there was, you know, different faiths, different religions, and it got virtually no coverage. I can't even remember where I saw it. It was
around
a mosque.
Yes, I remember
Jewish
sorry,
temple.
yes, it was around a synagogue. That's
synagogue,
right.
yeah.
And they did this. You know, it was really beautiful. It was different faiths. It was, you know, young people, old people, different religions, different everything, and it got virtually no.
So many protests, so many.
So it's not.
It's just not being highlighted enough. That's what it is. Yeah.
Interesting, ladies.
And,
But I personally, I guess with everybody else, if I don't visually see it, I just presume that where is it?
Yeah.
And there is always a pocket full of, like, when I do go on demonstrations, I'm always in awe of, oh, look, there's a busload of nuns, brilliant. And there's a busload of, you know, Jewish people, brilliant. And then you're looking, you know, being in hijab, you're looking for that. Is there anyone else like me here? No. We're like, okay. I sometimes feel that we're always so quick to say, look at all the stuff that's being done to us. But then, you know, things in our community that happen, we're like, oh, I can't be bothered.
Let's say that those, for example, anti-austerity protests that we see in quite a lot of lately. I mean, as a Muslim, you're even afraid of saying anything, criticizing the government, because you may be deemed as whatever, extremists. You know, if you say anything in social media,
anti-British
or anti-British,
so
you don't really dare say anything, and that might be used against you for whatever reason.
It's like we are being
way.
micromanaged.
Yeah.
We really are. Every little thing we say or do is just being highlighted.
You cannot criticise.
Well, I mean, can you imagine, like, just picking up on what you were saying, Tamara, but can you imagine if your child went into school with ideas of let's go on a protest? I mean, I knew of families that would take their children on the protest when Lebanon was being bombed in 2006, and there was big protests, and I knew of families that were taking their children on these protests, and they were saying that, you know, when my kid goes to school and they say, so what did you do today, Mohammed? What did you do at the weekend?
I went protesting.
I had a placard.
Terrorist.
We marched for all the Muslim children that are dying in the world, and immediately that starts suspicions about that. So we are in
especially
a really
now.
Again, all thanks to media.
Exactly.
Again, thanks to media, just brainwashing the public to believe certain things about Muslims, which aren't
and it's like, well, hang on a minute,
true.
you know, if you see wrong, you see wrong. Get up, say something about it.
Absolutely.
People shouldn't have to live in fear for it.
Not at all.
Yeah, our Muslim peers are basically, you know, walking bombs waiting to be activated.
Exactly, that's our
With confetti. Bombs of confetti. Okay. Right. Also, what also has been in the news is, I don't know if you've heard about this, a lady by the name of, is it Kiran Ghandi or is it Karen? I don't know how it's spelled. Kiran Ghandi. Well, I've been reading up on her. She's an interesting person to read up on. And basically, she decided to run the London Marathon, which we all know is hard. But what she was trying to highlight was, let me read the quote here. Women's bodies don't exist for public consumption. These are her quotes. And then she was commenting about her critics, because what happened, ladies, was she was running the marathon while she was on her monthly cycle. And what she decided to do was not prepare herself for the run. She wanted to highlight that in many parts of the world, women do not have access to personal hygiene items. And there's also a taboo and a label of shame that's brought about this. So she wanted to highlight, in a Middle Eastern country or an African country, you know, women, there's not even toilets for women to use while they're working in the
India, it's a big problem.
Well, women don't use them because they're so filthy and it's dangerous, you know, with the crisis there. And she's saying in 2015, women should be able to be who they are, and people should acknowledge that they are functioning on everyday level. So they should, you know, they go through some pain, some suffering, there needs to be some understanding. So she decided to complete the marathon, and this wasn't premeditated, without being properly prepared and wearing the appropriate things that were necessary for her. And she said that she felt very liberated, and that really pushed the message across. So I was wondering, as women, how do you feel about that? Because we had this discussion at work, and I have my own viewpoints.
It's a good cause. You know, we cannot fault her for that. It's a good cause, but I don't think the way that she did it was
Absolutely.
really
I
the
don't think she
best.
should have gone to such an extent to put a point across. You don't
But
necessarily
again,
have to.
has she done it
I mean,
no.
are we that?
No, come on, hygiene.
It's come on. I mean,
It's like going around, you know.
This is not a new concept that women have monthly
Absolutely.
cycles. This has been
didn't
going
have
on.
to show it off and
This
display it
has been-
all.
That's what I'm saying.
She just didn't have to do that.
People know about, you know, this is what happens to women every month.
No, but,
They go
but
through
it
this
is true.
thing.
No one talks about it. It is something that's been looked at as shameful. We do feel embarrassed about it at work. Like, let's say at workplace, when we try, you know, we're not praying because we have that time of the month, and we can't pray. But we try always and hide it somehow. Like, you know, my female friends will be going to pray in a separate room, and I'll go with them because I don't want to show the rest, you know, my male colleagues that, you know, it's time of the month for me. And it's just, why should we have to feel that way?
But is that a woman that's choosing to hide it, or is she hiding it because a man's made her feel like she has to?
I don't think it's got to do anything with, you know, it being a man or a woman. Isn't it like socially, it's something we are embarrassed of? Whether
But why should
it's
we
not,
be?
it's not just
something
Muslim
natural.
women. It's just naturally.
Why
Have you
should
ever
we?
seen someone? Have you ever seen an actress or a character in a movie, you know, having her time of the month? It's never happened
Yes,
on TV.
actually, I
It's
have.
Fine, but
A
it's
couple of
almost
weeks
never
ago.
happens. It's generally, it
I
almost
don't
never
think it's such a
happens.
big deal in this day and age now. I think we're all quite educated, and I think the guys know
That's
about
what
it as
we
well.
say,
I mean,
but
being in a
in
work
reality-
environment, I think, you know, having worked with men, I'm sure you guys have as well, but it's, you know, I don't think it's even thought about as much anymore. If anything, they probably joke about it, laugh about it.
Maybe in a
But we're
Muslim
not even- we're not
environment.
even allowed to talk about it. No one talks
I
about
don't know.
it.
I don't
Women
they
would
do.
feel awkward
Well,
about
hold on a
it,
minute.
and
What-
men
talk
They
about
do.
what? Sit down with your male colleagues.
No,
and
to
say,
even mention
let's,
the
let's
word.
have a
Conversation
chat
about
about
it.
No. But even in
In a banter, sometimes in a banter, it
context,
has happened where you
Francesca,
suddenly,
not necessarily
you know.
just bringing it up out of the blue, but you
Yeah.
know, in context, you know, no one mentions it, no one says it.
I think what Tamara is referring to is, especially if you're working in a Muslim environment where, you know, we have our times of prayer and everybody dashes off to pray.
That's when it's most.
And
I
then
don't
you're
think we
just
should
like,
feel embarrassed. I honestly
No,
don't
we
think we should
shouldn't,
feel
but we
embarrassed.
do.
It's a natural process. It doesn't need to be highlighted like this woman has highlighted it. I think that was just too extreme for my liking. But it's not something we should feel entirely embarrassed
But
about.
it's strange you say that,
It's-
because even
Understood it, you know.
in Islamic environments, when you're teaching girls, they don't even say the word. It's whispered, and it's like, okay,
Yes.
well, what's
It
wrong
just
with
draws
you?
more
Sorry,
attention.
what's happened?
I don't understand
And
why
it's like,
hush
you know,
hush.
oh,
But I
you
think
have
it
to be
depends-
shy
no,
about
but
it.
I think
Why?
it depends on your relationship with that. You know, how do you actually feel about it? Do you feel embarrassed about it? Do you feel
Exactly.
ashamed about it? You know, I was having a conversation with my girls, and I was like, this happens to all women. It's like,
But
It
then
does
again,
depend on our
she's-
superiors, how they come across to us when they discuss these subjects.
and that's what I'm saying.
Done in an
Are
educated
you uncomfortable
manner.
about it? Are you
Yeah.
going to pass on that uncomfortable?
Absolutely.
You know, how do you actually feel about it? What
Yeah.
is your relationship with this time of the month and things like that? And I think that's the thing. When I was looking at, I actually had a brief look at the blog that
Right.
she runs. And one thing I noticed that she said, and I will quote it as much as I can, but she said that one person a society won't mess with is a marathon runner. And
Sorry.
What does that mean?
well, exactly.
What?
But that's what I'm saying.
What's she gonna do?
What she's trying to say is that she's trying to transcend oppression that is on women by doing this, you know, running the marathon and not.
Fair enough. I mean, she's raising.
She's proving a point.
Yeah,
But
it's
she's
one of
proving a
those-
point. But is it really proving a point, or are you just?
No,
Like-
I don't think we're against proving the point, but we just.
But
you
that's
know,
what
what
I'm
we're really disagreeing perhaps about is the way she's
It's-
done
it's
it.
been
the
done.
way that
That's
it's
what
been
I'm
done.
saying.
It's like raising the point of, you know, in India, a lot of women, families don't have
Access.
access to toilets. Does that mean that you go running?
And go anywhere.
Right outside in public.
In public, in the
Go and
workplace.
do it
Just trying to prove a
in public
point,
or
you
something.
know.
Just proven,
Yeah.
to prove a point. No.
Well,
But
maybe
then-
she was
that
But then
showing.
I think also what it sort of highlights the fact that sensationalism sells because it's in
Yes,
it made them.
it
It
works.
was not
It
And
does
it
heavily.
draw a
does
lot of
work.
attraction.
So
and it's viral.
and that's what
Or
I'm saying.
maybe she was highlighting that being a marathon runner is grueling, and for many women, you know, working in marketplaces, getting up early, long hours is grueling, and if you don't have those products, this is what can happen to
reality.
you.
Yes,
And
fair
they
enough.
live with this reality, and she's embodying what they go
Are
through.
going
I
she
think
has she has created a positive reaction as well. I'm
But,
sure
you
she
know,
has.
but it's that is
But,
the easy way. That is the easy way.
It is.
Yeah. You know, trying to be. Trying to
I mean,
raise the
some
question.
people can quite happily pass the message across just by dialogue. And, you know,
Yeah,
the
creating-
people will understand, but then some people need it to be smacked in their face
Yeah.
before they even understand what's going on in
promotional
reality.
videos,
But I
whatever
think-
it is.
but
you
I
know,
think
be
surely there's
creative.
better
It doesn't
ways of
have to
doing
be
it.
this easy way around it. It doesn't, you know.
But I
that's
think
easy.
what-
It's
No,
easy.
not for me.
You know, it's provocative. We all know.
I mean, that's the
how
thing, and I
viral it's
think-
going to go.
I think what has happened is it's made people feel uncomfortable, and now people are like, "Oh, well, let's have a discussion
Let's
about it."
talk
But
about
you
it.
kind of think, well, do we have to be always made to feel uncomfortable, to
Does it have to be? Does it have to be
controversial?
Yeah.
It's you know,
really shocking for it to be?
we're talking about it, so it's obviously,
well, it's worked.
you know,
It
it's
has
worked.
worked, no
Yeah,
doubt.
of course it does work. Fireworks work. You know, if you put.
Brilliant.
But is it really the best way? Or I think it's the simplest. I think it's the easiest way.
I'm
Yeah,
thinking,
it's definitely
without
I'm
how
thinking that would
can't
be
work.
very uncomfortable, quite frankly.
It's not. It's not. It's definitely not the most creative way.
But I think, you know, we do have an element, we have to admit, even in every religion, look at the Orthodox Jews, they don't even mention it. They have to go to special baths after that time. I remember a neighbour of ours, she would come and use our washing machine because she couldn't use the family washing machine during that time, etc.
And it's quite extreme. That in itself is quite extreme.
Well, they are Orthodox Jewish
Yeah,
people
which
do
they are.
look at that time.
Absolutely.
Oh, yes, it's a time where, you know, you're not pure and you shouldn't be around anything. And even in African cultures, I heard of a culture that women go off and stay in a hut
Yeah,
where they don't want to be bothered with anybody. And,
Yeah, well,
you
some
know,
women perhaps should do that once a time of the month. They can be quite dangerous.
now becoming stereotypes. Now we
Okay,
can
fine.
still function quite well during
can
that.
function.
We can do most things.
Not well all the time though.
But that we can
But
still
did you feel
function.
embarrassed about it? Because I walked into work and they were all talking about it, and I just felt,
By the
well,
way, yeah.
go
Sorry,
ahead.
sorry. No. I'm interrupting
I just
you.
felt like, well, it happens every month. Why are you so bothered? But it said it's because it was
It's
in
because-
our face.
It's because you're visually seeing it. I mean, it's that thing, isn't
It
it?
really
that-
wasn't necessary.
Because you're seeing it with your eyes, it then becomes real. Whereas when you don't see it, it's okay, it's that thing, but no one ever is literally confronted with it. I think with that, you know, the images were there. She was running, and then she got to the end. There was an image, you know, there was a picture with her dad.
He was
Her
very
dad
embracing of her,
highlighted,
yeah.
Her dad
like,
was really
extremely
supportive of it.
highlighted, yeah.
And I think just obviously people, it's that thing, isn't it? Like there's children dying, but we don't want to see pictures. Like we know they're dying, but we don't want to see pictures of it. Like
Yeah.
it's people seeing things, and then they kind of.
Do you think
it's
we're
the
becoming
shock.
desensitized as well now?
Well, let's hold that
just,
thought, ladies.
yeah.
Let's come back on the other side. I hope you grab yourself a cup of tea, a slice of cake. We'll see you on the other side.
Rum pa pa